All right, hello everybody. I am with a expert in all things NFTs and cryptos and ways to market those and to grow your wealth with those in a cool way. In fact, I'm excited because he's been our guest before on the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. Today, we're doing a podcast episode with him today. And each and every episode, we're joined by some of the best real estate, financial, and wealth minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspirations. Together, we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. For those who know me, my name is Brett Swartz, and I'll be the host today. Please welcome to the show with me from Dubai, Arvin Khamseh. I don't know if I pronounced your last name correctly, but you got the help with it. Arvin, how are we doing today, brother?
Good. Hi. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And for our listeners getting to know you for the first time, would you give us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
All right, cool. So my background is marketing, and started at doing marketing for small businesses all the way to public companies. Did have a huge focus on paid media, so up to $500,000 a month. I was doing it for investor relationship marketing, which means basically finding investors online, short-term, long-term, for public companies, and then essentially just increasing their stock price, and then also making people want to hold on to their investment. Like that was my predominant, let's say, predominantly that's where I spend my time on. And then in 2021, I actually got on this conversation that didn't want to be on, and they were talking about NFTs. I already knew about NFTs, but that was I suppose very surface level. Didn't think too much about, okay, if I could make any changes or sell NFTs for that matter at all. And then that conversation turned into, okay, well, it seems like this is a very, very innovative concept. And then it was just all about these expensive animal images. Then I started just telling people as well. I said, hey, like, by the way, if because I hear so many people talk about it, if anyone wanted to market their NFTs, I could offer some suggestions. I've been studying it, and then some Italian artist came to me, sold out his project, and I didn't even know, to be honest, at that point, the technology to even market it as well. But he explained to me everything, and then that was the let's say proof of concept for me to just understand everything. And I just got really excited about it because I could see literally, like, the next person I helped was this let's say a female who at the time she was, I want to say 20, 21, 22, never made money online in her life, so no business experience. And then she introduced this idea of her NFT to me. And then, to be honest, I didn't think she could make a ton of money with that concept at the time. But I gave it the best. I gave it the best. And then 30 days later, she made $10 million. And then that, I suppose that was maybe the turning point for me, where I was like, this is a very serious, let's say, conversation. This is a very serious industry. And then, so kept going with that. Of course, that was a bull market. Then there was a bear market came through. And then all the way till very recently, and by the way, we kept going, we never stopped even during the bear market, but until very recently, I think it was Bloomberg or some publication, they literally were asking us, I found it very ironic that they were asking me, but they were asking me if NFTs are dead, right? And so that's been the whole journey, and from let's say just not knowing to just going all the way to the top, and then later people, I suppose, speculating on whether, like, there's even any point into that. And I can speak to that if you want, but that's been the journey. And then lately I sold out my own collection. It was in February. in 2 minutes. So yeah, I've been very involved for other people, for myself, and really looking forward to speak with you
Absolutely.
inside this.
Arvin's a great background. By the way, you can learn more about Arvin. I'm going to spell the last name for you. It's Khamseh. Okay. And you can find him on LinkedIn or X is the best way to find him. And as well, we did a episode on how NFT brands make $1 million in a day. And that was appeared March 16, 2022. So you can go check that out on the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast by searching YouTube, and you can search how NFT brands make 1 million a day, and you'll find it. But okay, so a lot there, really cool. I want to touch on current crypto and NFT market. What's your take on it? What's your feel? Bitcoin, let's say, hit even all-time highs again just a couple weeks back, right? 3 weeks ago or so. And now it's hovering around 64,000 a coin. How is that affecting the NFT market and the crypto market as a whole? Just what's your general thoughts?
Yeah, very good. So obviously, I think even in what you just mentioned about the $1 million, that was beginning of the NFT. Like I also said, initially it was like 5 million, 10 million launches. Then it went on to just like 1 million. But then again, that million, it's just very strange industry. That million, you would make it like that. I suppose that team or founder would make it in a day. So it's still very, very fast paced, very exciting. And then all the way to let's say more recently, and I would say really starting from May 2022, there's been that conversation. Okay, is the market sentiment negative in the crypto and NFT, and they're connected? And then what's the point if there's no let's say if there's no demand for it anymore, right? If the hype is gone. So the hype of the NFT was highest in November, let's say 2021, and then right, let's say up until 2 months ago, it was still very low. And then because of the crypto, it got back on, just because the all-time high, as you mentioned as well, and also just I think there's a speculation that the narrative of the NFT and the hype of the NFT could come back up, and because of that speculation on the narrative, then there's just that little increase, let's say, on the demand for NFTs. But really, so what is it now? Just the current state of things. The NFT launches typically now they're somewhere around 200 to 400,000 launches. So $200 to $400,000 raises, let's say, and people typically do them somewhere around 1 month to 2 months. So they spend good amount of time, and I really mean it, like they spend a lot of time with their team, building socials, and then promoting NFTs, all that. So the first point is I suppose the potentials of it was very high, 2021, and then 2022 started like really going down, and then it got like really low to the point where like literally I was being asked by publications, different places, like everyone's just talking about like NFTs are dead, and then that changed again, like it's on the rise again. However, I don't think the NFT narrative this time is going to be the same as the hype. I see the new narrative of the NFTs being about, let's say, tokenization of real estate, being about tokenization, basically real world assets. Let's say artworks. So there's a project that they do tokenization of arts from 1415. So real life paintings.
Let's talk about that for a second. I want to go on two ways of that. So the tokenization of real estate or hard assets or art, right? I think this is really powerful as well. I want to dive into maybe tokenization of like sculptures, right? What that looks like as well. If you could own a piece of, let's say, a Vatican piece like the David or some other like amazing piece, like what that would look like. So walk us through what's the number one secret to the tokenization of real estate and or real world artwork, like sculptures or paintings.
Yeah. So to explain that, I will provide the context of, for example, and they're different, by the way. Real estate and art, they're different. So as for real estate, there's been a handful of projects that they've attempted to tokenize real estate. There's one in Dubai by one of the largest development companies, Imar, where they've started. They've built community. They've to some extent they built community around it. But but I haven't seen really any let's say concrete let's say accomplishments to my knowledge. But then there's another project that they have, I believe 6 or 7 physical real estate in Dubai. They have bought and they've tokenized it. Now, what that means is, let's say if I were to want to buy a 1-bedroom in Dubai, and the price of that depends of course the area, but let's say if it's $1 million, then and let's say I just happen to have only $10,000 and I want to get into real estate, the accessibility is the value of tokenization, because now I get to actually become an investor, have some passive income, because that 1-bedroom, and this is, by the way, it's happening right now in this project that they're doing this, that 1-bedroom could be rented. I could, based on the amount of share I have, which is assigned by the number of NFTs I buy, then I could receive let's say passive income, or let's say short-term rental or long-term rental income. And so that's the value of it. And then they've done it successfully, 6 projects, and people are receiving the let's say the income based on their shares. And could this become a lot more prevalent? I would say yes, because this concept of even timeshare, I don't know if you've looked into this, but like for example in Whistler is a big thing, and they don't use NFTs to let's say implement the concept, but in Whistler, and this is a specific example, it's a world-known place for people to go ski. But if you own a place, you don't ski all year round, and there's a certain weeks during every year you want to go skiing, and so instead of you going and renting, you can own through this thing called a timeshare. Now, they would be better off use NFTs in this specific scenario. And for people who don't know, I'll explain in a second, but that's same concept. It's literally tokenization of the real estate, a physical asset, real life physical asset. And I see this being this concept being the new narrative. Like that's
okay. Got it. Yeah, let me jump into that. So by the way, we're speaking with Arvin Khamseh, and you can find him on LinkedIn or X. I'm not even sure if I pronounced that last name correctly, but it's Khamseh. Okay, he can pronounce that for here in a minute.
It's Khamseh. Yeah.
Khamseh, yeah, so I'm way off, right?
That's okay, no problem.
Khamseh, actually, how it's spelled, it actually does make sense there. I'm adding too much there. But okay, so you can tokenize the real estate. So you're selling small individual, like you call it shares or percentages or percent, of it, right? That makes sense. And then so you can get the cash flow from it. You don't have to come in with a full down payment. You can do small amounts. That makes sense to me. Got it. Now, what about for artwork? Let's imagine it was the David, right? Like, and it's in pure gold or pure silver or pure bronze, right? And it's this magnificent piece. It's worth $200 million.
Exactly.
But could I NFT that and say,
yes.
So walk us through how that would work, and then talk about, I mean, because it's not necessarily producing cash flow, or is it? Because could you then valuate it at, like 200 million is what it started out. You can first get the NFT, but let's say there's so much demand for it, you can set the price for 205 or 210 or 300 million. And so the value of your NFT or share, if you will, continues to rise. And then perhaps you could sell off some of that for dividend payments, and or maybe you can margin against it, and you could get a note to leverage your NFT. Like, walk us through just the overall mechanics of that.
Yeah. So this is very, very exciting. So while at the beginning it was all about the hype, and it had nothing to do with the technology. Actually, people didn't even know what the technology of NFT was about. This what we actually just speaking about is literally probably one of the coolest use cases of NFT. Now, didn't have to be called NFT; it could have been called anything. It has nothing to do with the hype of crypto. Uh, the NFT happens to be the only technology that can actually facilitate this process. Now, you said what it would look like for art. So, in the example of the art that you said is 200 million, I can speak for myself. I don't, like, every weekend I don't go shopping $200 million paintings, but I do have art, digital and physical. So if all of a sudden you told me, hey, you could own a piece of something historical, something that is meaningful to you. It's been meaningful to many others in the past. Has an actual value, meaning by an appraiser, and there's certificates for it and everything. And then you say, hey, you can actually own a piece of that with, let's say, $10,000, or like even a few $100s, right? So that's first is the accessibility, which we talked about real estate as well, right? The second piece into that is it's also very interesting, is that, okay, so now let's say the art is auctioned. Like, so for example, I think every 6 months or so there are some big auctions for that kind of art. Usually they're sold into like private, let's say, art collectors, but if they do auctions, usually twice a year. Now, if that $200 million artwork was actually auctioned and sold for whatever price, I, as the owner of the NFT, let's say I own 10 NFTs, and 10 NFTs means 10 little, let's say, little pieces of this physical art. So once this art is sold, then the proceeds, like even the of course, it depends on the project and depends how this is set up, but that I could get a part of. If this artwork is actually being, let's say, shown at some exhibition, rental, or however way they're making money with this art, I could still get a piece of that revenue as well. And then you said, okay, could my NFT have its own value and its own path into in carrying like interest and actually go up in value itself? It can. Of course, this is speculation, but it can. But it also has happened in the past. Now, I want to give you another example. So Gary Vee, for example, has his events, I think twice a year or once a year, and he basically sells his tickets to his event using NFTs. And then let's say you bought the NFT, and then the event was just like last week, and you're like, well, why am I still holding on to this digital, let's say, asset? I should just sell it. Like, there couldn't be possibly any value to holding on to something that was representing an event in the past. However, what we've observed, and this is not just this scenario, but I'm just giving one example, it can take its own path, meaning this digital asset could actually go up in value even though the event was complete and technically has no longer any utility, because it serves it's like a timestamp into the history. And what's so special about NFTs, so just first of all, what NFTs is, basically you could think of it as let's say a series of characters and letters, and that points into, in the case of what people would know, it points into, it's like almost like a hyperlink into an image that's sitting somewhere in some server, and so people know it by that image. That's why in the past used to be, it's like, oh, it's just expensive, animal pictures. But that let's say combination of characters is specific, it's exclusive. There's only one version of it. So that's why they use it in a ticketing system. And that's why even in the example of the art, it's the best technology to use, because that's the only way you would know, for example, top right, in the very top right corner, let's say the corner of this artwork, I am the owner of that piece, for example, right?
Okay.
Now,
let me break in a little bit. Let me break into a little bit. So like, so,
Yeah.
okay, artwork. Okay, so let's match a $200 million piece of art, right? Where it's really practical here, right? And how do we secure the NFT to the actual art? Like, and who's the gatekeeper of the NFT, right? Like, if I think of it like gold, the old gold standard, right? We secure, the dollars to the gold. Now that's been, it's a disaster now where we're at with the debt and everything else. But, just think about that. Like, let's imagine it was a $200 million, silver David, right? It's this amazing piece of art. And we want to make this an NFT opportunity. Maybe we can say 30% of it or 50% of it, we want to sell off to NFTs. The other 50% is somewhere else. Walk us through how that would actually be secured and how that would be transparent and how you couldn't hack that NFT to take ownership of that. Walk us through that.
Okay, so the security of the NFT, well, obviously it sits on, I mentioned earlier, it sits on some server, right? And these servers are supposedly, you would pick servers that are secure as your website and everything else that for example, you use Amazon, like a lot of people use Amazon AWS servers. And so we're talking about the same level of security. This is not something new as far as security that's just being introduced. It's the same thing we've done. Everything on the internet, any assets, websites, whatever we held, it's the same level of security. Now, the interesting thing about NFTs is that it happens to be even, in a sense, even more distinguishable because it sits on the blockchain. And blockchain, think of it as let's say sets of blocks of data, and then there's only one place, one version of that combination of characters that exist. There's no second one, there's no third one. So that's connected to the buyer. And how it's connected to the buyer in just like real life, maybe talking simpler. So let's say I have a crypto wallet, I purchase the NFT. The NFT is in my wallet, and then that NFT in the metadata, in basically let's just say the backend of that NFT, there is a line written, let's say R 25 55 555, something like that, where it's the exact location of the where my piece on that physical art is, basically where my share is, right? And it's written into that NFT, so it cannot be changed. I cannot. I mean, that's the whole point of like blockchain. I cannot edit it. No one else can edit it. It's not even like, we're not even talking about like authorities or let's say someone else with more power, more knowledge, anything like that. It's not something to be edited. It cannot be edited. And then, so that's as far as the security side of it. And then you said, okay, how does this work? So the artwork will sit in some vault, right? So some place that's safe. And then you would have an appraiser come in and actually, I mean, you can get it from like Christie's or like different places, and actually evaluate the art. And then you will get a certificate saying, hey, this art value is XYZ. Then based on that, you can create as simple as really like a spreadsheet with just saying, okay, if you own one NFT, that means you have, let's say 1/10 of this art, right? Obviously, in that case, you would have a lot more, maybe 1 in 1,000 of that pieces. But and then based on that, whatever that setup is, which is built by let's say the gallery in this scenario, or the founder of that project is set up, is being communicated to people who are going to buy. buy the digital asset in this scenario, and so they know, and no one else can change it because that also sits on the blockchain as well. And yeah, so that's the security side of it, and then that's as far as like getting into the logistics of it, like how that would work. Did I answer your question? But ask me more.
You did. I think you did.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Okay, cool.
So let's keep it really simple. Let's imagine it's a $100 million piece of artwork, right? And let's just say we divide it by 100. So we make 100 NFTs there.
Yes.
It's $1 million each per NFT to buy. And so I'm the owner of this art piece. And I'm like, all right, it's $100 million. We got the appraisal here. Here's a certificate. Here's the piece here. And now I'm going to go for sale, right? I want to sell 13 of these NFTs and by this date. And I'm like, okay, I can let you guys bid for it, or I can sell it, right, for 13 million each, right? Maybe we can talk about that a little bit. Yeah. And let's imagine I do sell it for 13 million. I give it 13% of this $100 million piece of artwork. And now let's say I want to go sell it for $100 million the next day. How do I, as the person who owns, let's say I bought the 13 NFTs, how do I know as the buyer that they're going to pay me first, right? Before they could sell it, right? Like, what is protecting me as the owner? If I live in Dubai or live in, Florida or California, and let's say the art piece is in Washington, right? How do I have security that if the person in Washington sells it for $100 million, that I would get my 13 million back? Is that making some sense?
Yes. So, first of all, you do need to have obviously a law firm involved to create structures. So it's not something like just someone just writes some Google Doc and then turns it into PDF. But as far as just I guess on a high level is what I would say. But on as far as the how you would sell this, how much would you be able to sell it? Would the price go up, down? How would you know when it will go up, down? All this stuff, right? So first of all, where you would sell it. Let's say the NFT that you bought of that same art sits on Solana blockchain all of a sudden, right? And then it's automatically aggregated into the top marketplaces for Solana. And top marketplaces for digital assets, now in this scenario would be NFTs for Solana, which would be, for example, the top one is Magic Eden. Then it's, I think there's another one that just recently came out, Sniper something, I can't remember the name, but there's OpenSea, so on and so forth. Right. Now, are these marketplaces having users? For someone who doesn't know, like that they would actually, will there be demand for someone to actually come and buy it? So they have millions of users, each of these marketplaces, and the volume is actually, people can go check their volume. There's a website for I don't remember the exact website, but it's something they can go check. But anyways, it's a lot of money, and so yes, there is demand for it. They can put it in the marketplace. Now, would they be able to put it on marketplace for 100 million and then immediately someone will just grab the art? I don't know, maybe not, right? Depends on the I suppose who's the artist and blah blah blah. But it happens on the marketplace. The marketplace is the escrow between you as the seller and then the buyer. So the buyer connects the wallet, says, "Hey, I'm bidding at this price." And then you as the seller saying, "Hey, this is the price. Maybe I'm accepting it or not accepting it. Like maybe larger price that you would be accepting." And then you say, "Yes, accept it." The art. The actual NFT gets exchanged between your wallets. It's no longer, so you got your money, and then the buyer got their NFTs. Now, do you still own a share of that physical artwork? No, you no longer have a share into, and I keep saying share. That's just how I would say. I think it's maybe easier for people to understand, but let's say ownership, right? But you no longer have ownership, and that new person has ownership into that artwork. Now, it's possible. First of all, you could sell it at any price, even if the price of it that you bought it for $1,000. All of a sudden, I mean, in this case, it was, I think you said 10 million or whatever it was. You could do larger price, lower price, whatever it is. It could also, based on unrelated scenarios to crypto, this price could go up. Like, for example, let's say all of a sudden, let's say the person, let's say family member, like descendants of that artist, all of a sudden they want to do meet and greet with everyone who has that NFT, right? And then boom, like the price could jump, even though the appraisal of that physical piece is going to stay as it was, which in this case we said 200 million. The price of the NFT could change, could actually go up. So obviously it's not the case for everyone. It's just all the speculation, but that's the potential.
I got it. I knew this. There's ways to create experiences around this that could increase the value and just a marketplace for it, because not everyone has $200 million. They might have 1,000, they might have 1 million, they might have 10 million, and they can buy a percentage and share of that. Yeah, in this scenario, it's $100 million piece of art. It's 100 NFTs issued. I bought 13 of them. But back to that piece of it, right? It's secure. There's an attorney. The marketplace is like the escrow. Okay, got all that. But this art piece is and I guess you need to trust the person who's holding the art, right? And perhaps you can put it in a third party vault, right? Where it's not the original owner of the art. They go, look, we're going to do this third party place, this third party escrow, this legal vault that's going to hold it. And then they're going to connect with the marketplace. And I guess the NFTs can be traded any which way, but if the whole piece goes to be sold, then the vault would have to say, hey, everybody freeze, like, or stop. We're going to be, this is under escrow. It's under contract to sell for 150 million, let's just say, for example, right? And then that would and I guess if it did sell for $150 million, they'd have options to get the cash out. It would all go to escrow, and then their value, let's say they bought it at $1 million, is now worth 1.5 million, right? I think that's the math is right there. And that way they could cash out there, or their NFT just went up. Is that a fair summary? Am I getting it right?
Yeah, no, that's a potential scenario. Yes.
Okay.
And this is so now some people may be thinking, has this been done before? There is at least one project I know that they're in this process to do this, and there are marketplaces going to be built for this, specifically for this kind of art. So we have marketplaces already for digital assets, for NFTs, but if you would think, like, would someone who is the buyer of $100 million artwork sit on let's say Magic Eden and OpenSea all the time? No, that's new to them. They wouldn't know about these things, right? That's new to them. However, there are is in process where marketplaces specifically for, let's say, art that's larger in price, or maybe a specific time in history, like let's say, I don't know, 1415, for example, and there's those are being built as we speak, and there is also I suppose another. So you spoke about, okay, so it's the basically you have the part ownership into that physical art. If they did any, for example, rentals or any some sort of any way they used, even the IP of the project, they used it in any sense, the NFT holders would be able to get their rewards, get the piece into the action as well. But also, like, there could be other things as well. Like I just made this up. Like obviously there could be many additional, like, services. Like, for example, if you buy into that NFT, maybe they would also tell you, they will also give you let's say art advisory services, where they would tell you, like, what art to buy next. Maybe you'd be part of some club of some sort of like art owners. So it's a lot more let's say open than I described it. I just gave one example that's so it just simple, makes sense for people.
Absolutely, Arvin, this has been absolutely amazing. My mind and is growing with and opening up to these capabilities. By the way, if you want to learn how to do more of this and learn more about type of stuff that Arvin is doing, you can find him on LinkedIn or X. It's Arvin, and it's Khamseh. You can find them. And as well, we can defer capital gains taxes on NFTs and cryptocurrency in case you're exiting multiple $1 million exits. In fact, we just did our first NFT just a few weeks ago. We've done Bitcoin and Ethereum, over $13.5 million before the last crypto crash. And so we're focusing on that as well for people who are out there curious about how that works. You can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. Arvin, we are running out of time. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Let's do it.
All right. Knowing what you know now, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget make sure to tell yourself to do?
I would surround myself with very capable, competent men.
Perfect. Great answer. Second question, what's the number one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
Number one book, I would say... There's a book called Self-Reliance by Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Perfect. Question number 3. What's the number one way you're using ChatGPT?
I built my own CRM. I've built my own calendar, every single automation that you can think of just using ChatGPT. So it's amazing.
Awesome. Next question. What are you most curious about right now?
I would say what's gonna happen in the next few weeks inside crypto. It's obviously it's very significant time. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, why do you say that? It's just for those who don't know what's significant about it. And then what do you think about the Bitcoin halving coming up as well?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously we can think about it and speculate all we want. It's obviously it's just until we go through it, we'll never know. I think it's exciting. I think even if let's say it had no bearing in the profits for let's say people involved in Web3, it's just the fact that we're looking forward to has been very exciting.
Cool. Excellent. Last question. After all your success, helping all the people you've helped, how do you best stay centered in your values and stay encouraged to charge forward to reach higher heights?
I would say, yeah, I would say, again, it goes back to the first one, just being around good, competent men and figuring things out, solving problems.
Cool. Awesome. Arvin, thank you for the show. I'm always learning when I'm with you, right? And it's really cool. I want to encourage you to keep using the gifts and talents you've been given to understand and communicate the world of cryptocurrency and NFTs and help people take their projects to profits, right? When exiting and transferring and continue to build what you're building. For our listeners who want to get in touch with you, would you mind one last time, what's the best place for them to find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So Arvin Khamseh on all socials, and my handles is Arvin K NFT because that's what we got popular for. It's ARVIN KNFT on all socials, but LinkedIn and X, I would say those I'm most responsive.
Awesome. Thanks, Arvin, for being on the show. Thank our listeners for listening to the episode of multiple podcasts. Actually, we're streaming this on the Capital Gains Tax Solutions, Build It to Billions podcast, and also Expert CRE Secrets podcast. Each and every episode, we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying capital gains tax solutions, right? Clarifying what's even possible with real estate, with crypto, with NFTs, things like this to create and preserve more wealth and to be able to monetize what you own, whether it be artwork or real estate in different ways. Things are changing quickly and we want to be on the forefront of bringing some amazing guests like Arvin to the show to listen and to grow with. For those who want help and or are curious how to defer capital gains taxes on the sale of crypto, businesses, real estate, or anything else, for capital gains taxes, you want to have a plan. We have a solution. It's called the Deferred Sales Trust, and it's amazing. We also wrote a book on it, building a capital gains tax exit plan. You want to build a team. You want to have a solution to your challenge, and then you want to be able to execute when the timing is right. That's all about what the book's about and what we do. So check that out on Amazon. And we appreciate everyone listening.